いいな、いいな。いいな、いいなだ。
今日の占いは異境を示すって
同女悪謀反。何かお困り。深呼吸。番号1。
出動。命令を待つわ。
私はオボロスの目です。
アンビ総括はここだ。
色紙背中は任せていただけます。まず一切一つ。
真夜中
どこでだった。
姉弟子3行きますよ。ふえい。分かれ道か。道の脇。エーテリアスたち、今日はやけに興奮してる気がする。
いつもと変わらなくない？
だってほら、よく見て。あの子たちの塔のあたりの光、変化のペースがいつもより 20% も速い。
そんなことまでわかるの？
ハイヤトだ。
このエーテリアスと知り合い？もしかして特徴。
違う。もし族長がエーテリアスになってたらもっと強いのだと思う。霧の中で眠りたまえ。
そっか。特徴ってすごいんだね。
上位同士を牽制し合うからね。あの子が威張ってるのはラッキーだよ。
よくわかんないけど、ユシアがそう言うなら信じるよ。
頼りにしてるよ。まずはこの悪い子をなんとかしなきゃ。前より手強いの。めっちゃく
粉々にしてあげる。氷のベッドで 寝かしつけてあげる。さっきのはウォームアップだったのね。間に合ったわさ。綺麗だよね。ポンって叩くだけ。
I mean, if it requires prep work because it requires this like Exaltus cheese, couldn't Exaltus just have a shitload of this cheese and then just be force feeding it to other people, or is there something else that's beyond it? Like, is it like long term consumption where it's like you have to be eating Exaltus cheese for, you know, at least one day, once a day for a month, and then you can, when you're corrupted, it becomes like that, or because if it's like a consumable item, you can just bring it with you, force feed it to someone, and you know, like lock them in a place to get corrupted. You know?
手がかり他にないかな。何の音？あれ？トゲなし？こんな時にどうしたの？私と遊びってついて追いかけてみよっか。え？そんなあっさり？こんなツアーガイドは初めてだよ。ほら早く。待って、エーテリアスがいるよ。どいてください。はい、ごめんね。今日はなんかみんなも
準備はいい？行くわね。
Lucia, どうして君がここに
Wait, that's the chief? He looks so young. Oh, actually, did they mention how that they were longer lived than other species?
族長のこと聞いたから。君はこのフロアに。
僕にもわからない。
Oh, wait a minute. No, maybe this isn't the chieftain. This is just someone who maybe went looking for him and also got incapacitated.
友達に夜を守ってもらうよう頼んでたけれど、なぜか無用してしまったらしい。
それちゃんと信頼できる友達だったの？
わからない。彼はいつも調査員の格好をしてるんだ。前に僕がフォローで危ない目にあった時も助けてくれた。
Oh, okay. So he's not an actual... He's not one of your own race. I kind of think that... he would assume they would buddy up, right? To make sure... Actually, yeah. Because, like, you know, only your race really deals with the issue you are dealing with, and only your race kind of knows the seriousness of it. So while you might be like, hey, just keep me from doing this shit, you know, they would know, oh shit, like if he ever starts sleepwalking, we gotta fucking stop him immediately, right? Whereas other races, would be like, oh, he's sleepwalking, whatever, right? You know, I'll just keep an eye on him. But it's like, no. So yeah, like his quote unquote friend is suspicious, right? Because he's not from their race. He regularly goes to the Hollow because he has an investigator's outfit, but not necessarily the case. But the fact is that he was found in the Hollow, so he could be like one of those people who are trying to ask the chieftain to follow him. Because it could be the Exaltus. The obvious thing is they're the Exaltus. They want to find the Night Terror or whatever, and then like study it or incorporate it into their own machinations.
ひどいね。エーテリアスに。そうだね。エーテリアスが群がって、まあ、とはいえ攻めらんないかな。そうなっちゃうと狂乱ボートに悪辣投手。
あはは、なんて笑っては。
危険な状況ならそれだけ痛みへの拒絶も強まる。
I mean, this is very true, yeah. Because realistically what happens is it stems from jealousy. They're jealous that these people are not attacked by ethereals, so they're at less risk for being in a hollow. And that jealousy turns to fear. Fear leads to anger, and anger leads to hatred, and hatred leads to suffering, as we all know. But yeah, they see that, and they're like, God damn it, like, I wish that was me. They're so fucking lucky. They don't get attacked by hollows, and of course and I mean, it's not crazy to think. Like, the association between them not being attacked in hollows and them being related to hollows, them not being attacked by ethereals and them being related to ethereals, it's not crazy in and of itself, right? You know? Because it could be like, because the ethereals don't attack each other, for the most part. Not that we're aware of. Other than Chestnut, I guess. So, from a normal person's perspective, they'd be like, the only other things ethereals don't attack are other ethereals. So, you know, in the absence of any other information, you might think, yeah, sure, that maybe they are ethereals in human form, right? Now, there are other potential explanations too, right? They are a different race. It could be that they exude a scent or energy unique to their race that just naturally repels ethereals, right? Or maybe even like emits a signal similar to what ethereals emit, and that's what causes ethereals to leave them. You know, it could be them adapting to the hollow, right? It could be that they developed like an ether organ, or the way they use their ether produces a signal which, you know, mimics an ethereal's signal, and so ethereals, you know, don't think, and ethereals maybe can't even see. They just like they only like find prey by sensing, not with their actual eyesight. So it could be that the signal that these people are releasing naturally just mimics their own signal, so they think, oh, okay, it's one of us, right? Realistically, if this was an evolution, this would be an evolution that everyone would want, because there's like, you know, no issue. The problem is it's only them, and it does seem to be recent after being attacked by Night Terror. So it could be that they have been corrupted, or it could be that whatever is causing the signal is also not natural, right? It might not be. It might be something that, like. So I was thinking like maybe there's like an ether gland or something that everyone who uses ether is able to use, but maybe normally your ether gland is like contained, right? So all the ether just flows within you and stays within you. But it could be that what Night Terror did is he punctured all of their ether glands. So basically the ether escapes you. So the ether is escaping them, which is what allows Night Terror to essentially resonate with that escaping ether. It's like, oh cool, because the ether is escaping your ether gland and going outside of your body, I'm able to synchronize with it and pull you in. That's how he's able to suck them into the dreams, because he's punctured their ether gland. He's able to resonate. He's able to find them and resonate with the escaping ether to create a connection. And it could be that what ethereals are sensing is just sensing the ether escaping from their body, and maybe that's what all ethereals are. Maybe all ethereals have so much ether that it's constantly exuding from their bodies, and so the way they determine prey is, hey, do we sense any ether? Do we sense any ether coming out of this body? No? Okay, well then it's a prey. oh, ether's coming out of its body, must be one of us, right? So it could be something like that. So not even that they're producing a signal that is mimicking an ethereal signal, but just the fact that ether is escaping their body through their gland. So I'm not even sure. I don't even, like, we haven't gotten confirmation that there is any sort of ether gland or something, but it does seem, from what they've said, it's that with the existence of hollows, the reason why we're able to do all the abilities we do within a hollow is because of ether, right? And people who are hollow investigators and all that have a resistance to ether, but I'm thinking that we're able to actually use it. That with the existence of hollow and the proliferation of ether, that people who are going into the hollows are absorbing ether and are using it as fuel for their unique ability, their unique combat abilities. That's my guess of how it works. So that's why, like, magic might have not existed before the hollows existed, and so we're just kind of like melding with a magic world. But hollows are just like how our world is trying to resist, and that's what's keeping it relatively contained. But because, like, remember, the people are exporting ether materials from within hollows and crafting tools and weapons and other equipment from them. So, like, ether is being used within technology. So I would also think that it's being used by the people. But they haven't explicitly said that, I don't think. They haven't explicitly said, yes, ether resistance is really just our ability to process ether. So the reason why we don't get corrupted is because we're actually processing the ether in the air and incorporating it into our own body to strengthen ourselves. And if that is the case, you would assume that there's some sort of, like, ether gland to store, your own personal converted ether to act as the power source for your abilities. Stuff like that, Obviously, it's hard to say because they haven't explicitly said anything like that. That is kind of my guess on how it works.
まあ行けたら行くよは来ないよね。
だから僕を助けてくれた。
君の言いたいことは分かったよ。
最近はやたらとヨマのこととかエーテリアスとどうやって意思疎通を取ってるのか聞いてきたな。
エーテリアスと
僕がエンジンビーホルダーにつまずいたのに睨まれただけで済んだところを見られてね。ヨマ守人たちはエーテリアスと交信してなだめてるんだと確信したらしい。っていうか、リュシアは得意だろ。私
が召喚したエーテリアスのことを言って、エーテリアスの攻撃パターンを模倣した上に幻でそれっぽく見せてるだけだから。
Well, they're not an illusion. You're taking damage, but basically, you're like layering ether. You're like creating an optical illusion around an ether attack, essentially. So you're layering your illusion over, like, it's like you're shooting an ether bullet, right? Rather than just like an invisible ether bullet or even a visible ether bullet, you're turning it into like a hattie. You're creating an optical illusion around that ether bullet to look like an ethereal, so it looks like an ethereal like lunged at them. When realistically, you're just hitting them with compressed ether, stuff like that. So I wouldn't say it's completely an optical illusion, because you are attacking them with something. You're just layering an optical illusion over it to make it seem like an ethereal is actually attacking, instead of just you and your ether.
エーテリアス、さっきからずっとおとなしくお座りしてるんだ。
じっとさせとく分にはいいんだけど、動かしたりするとエーテルをめっちゃ消費するから。 まだ言うことを聞いてくれないね。帰ったらもっと練習しないと。あちゃー、他にもやってほしいことがあったのに。
このエーテリアスはすごくリアルに再現できてるな。でもそうか、彼の言っていたエーテリアスとの意思疎通や
エーテルに干渉してエーテリアスを操るっていうのはありえない。でもここにあるのは目の前の。そうだね。
Well, you're also talking about like Geppetto, but Geppetto presumably is also an ethereal. So it's an ethereal controlling other ethereals. So like you don't even know like the biology of an ethereal. So it could be that like he's actually just because like Geppetto, it's like a puppet, right? So yeah, a puppet master. So he could be just like injecting an ethereal thread into the things he controls, and he's like just using literal ether to control them. Which, I mean, in theory might be possible. If you're able to connect an ether thread to an ethereal, you might be able to, like, pour your ether in to force it to do what you want, maybe. But, like, how? Like, because people kind of ignore this, but, like, like people are, like, Independence Day is a good example of this, right? So, in Independence Day, Jeff Goldblum was like, oh, okay, well, we need to shut down this alien spaceship. It's like, oh, they're in binary, right? Like, oh, cool. Or I think that was it. Like, I think he does actually like hack the alien spaceship because he's like, oh, they're using binary. That's fine. It's like, sure. Even if they are using binary, there is no ubiquitous language for binary, right? Like, sure, a character as a data type is 1 byte, right? And 1 byte is 8 bits, which means 8 zeros or ones. But for like Z, the character Z, well, we have a specific code. It's like, okay, well, the character Z is represented by this sequence of ones and zeros. That's what it is. But that's not, like, no one else knows that, right? So even if they are coding in binary, we don't know how to decrypt it, right? Because like we have characters which use 1 byte, but we also have Unicode to allow us to use other types of characters, which is like 2 bytes. So like we don't know if the alien is creating, is coding in 1 byte characters, 2 byte characters. Hell, maybe their language is so complex they need 5 bytes worth of ones and zeros to do even 1 character, right? We don't know. And even if they had the exact same alphabet as us, right? Even if they're like, yep, we use A through Z, right? A through Z, we only need 1 byte characters. We arbitrarily decided which characters go which, right? It's not, and also, we don't start with A, right? So a character, A is not 8 zeros. A is not represented by 8 zeros. And B is not 7 zeros and a 1, and then C is not 6 zeros, a 1, and then a 0, right? That's not how our characters are defined. We have a bunch of other special characters like periods, commas, all that shit, before even the first A. So A is not the very first thing that a byte could represent. A byte character could represent. It just is randomly kind of in the middle, and then we have our 26 characters, and then we have some extra periods and punctuation, all that shit afterwards. So it's like, even if they did have the same A through Z alphabet, and they coded everything in characters, if they put their A as the first one, we're like, our first character will be with the byte signature of 00008 zeros, then we would not be able to decode it, right? We would be off. Using our method of decoding how we encode bytes or characters in binary would be different, and we'd be getting different characters. That's why it's so fucking stupid to think that you can just be like, oh yeah, it's binary, cool. We know it's binary, sure. If you know it's binary, you know what to look for, but you also don't know where the stop points are, right? You don't know how to divide. So let's just say you realize, oh, it's binary. oh, it's a loop. They're looping the same binary code, the same sequence of ones and zeros over and over and over again. And let's say it turns out to be 100, right? 100 strings of ones and zeros that are just looped over and over again. How do you segment them, right? We have 1 byte equals 8 bits. So that wouldn't evenly divide into that, right? Because 8 divided by, 100 divided by 8 is not an even number at all. So maybe their bytes, maybe the way they break their data down is in orders of 10, right? Maybe their byte is 10 bits instead of our 8, We don't know. We don't know how they segment their strings. Hell, that sequence, that 100 bits, could just be 1 character for all we know, right? It could be 1. It could be 2. They could have 2 50-bit bytes, And that's all they're doing. So it's like, it's impossible to decrypt because there's infinitely many ways you could, there's not infinitely many ways you could divide 100, right? But there's infinitely many ways you could divide 100 and then turn it into the variety of data types we have, and then go through every possible sequence of each data type to apply our own methods, assuming they even use the same characters we do, right? So it's it's so fucking stupid. And so the idea that even if they were like, oh cool, we just we inject them with an ethereal string and force our ether down the string to make them do what we want, it could be the same type of thing. It's like, yeah, sure, you might be using ether to communicate, i.e. like binary, but if you're not able to communicate on the same language or provide them with a set of impulses that they can understand, sure, you might be injecting your ether into them, but how does that translate into action for them, right? It's like, if you want to control a person, it's not like you can just walk up to them, stick a few electrodes in their brain and be like, okay, I'm just gonna zap your brain a bit and then I'll make you play the piano with it. It's like, no, the electrical impulses you would need to be able to actually do that would be insanely complex, and we don't have that yet, right? We're barely able to kind of decrypt what brain signals mean, let alone provide a sequence of impulses that could elicit a specific behavior. At the moment, what we can do is we know what portions of the brain do what, so we can run electricity through it, obviously not a big amount, but to elicit a reaction, to be like, oh yeah, we put an electrode in your taste center of your brain and put a mild electric shock through it, and now you can taste rainbows, or now you can taste chocolate, right? We might be able to do something like that. But if it was hey, produce an electrical signal that makes them taste a specific thing, we could shock that portion of the brain and they might taste something from it, but we don't know what specific sequence of electrical impulses would be required to make them, taste chocolate cake, right? We just don't know that shit. And that's basically the same. That's why it's so fucking stupid for them to think, yeah, we can control ethereals. If you had a language, sure, because what you're trying to do is figure out what language they're speaking, and try to, because then it's on them actually understanding you. You'd be like, cool, they understand this, but Geppetto is directly controlling them, and for that you need to actually understand exactly what they're saying, how they're saying it, and then be able to mimic ethereal pulses to get them to do it. It also could be that the power of Geppetto is so strong that the ethereals underneath it cower instinctively. It's the difference between an alpha wolf and the regular wolves. The regular wolves listen to what the alpha wolf says because it's the alpha wolf, right? They instinctively do what that wolf wants. So it could be something like that, where even the ethereals themselves don't have higher order brain function, but have instincts that the alpha, i.e. Geppetto, is able to manipulate.
それは僕たちの命と無有で実験してる奴がいるってことか。
I mean, yeah, that's what I was thinking they were doing, right? Is that they wanted to lure them in and then either capture the Night Terror or at least figure out how they work.
普段フォローで受けてる扱いも。
ここまで言っといてあれだけど、ちょっと決めつけるのも早いかな。
分かった。僕も。
Oh no, that is Kieran. So wait, no, actually no. Was Kieran was the chief, right? Is that honestly the chief? He just looks so young. No, wait, if he was the chief, then why would he ask about the staff? The chief gave her the staff. So I can't remember if we ever been told the chief's actual name.
トゲなし。あ、この抱き枕気に入った。今日はありがとう。また遊びに来てくれる？うん、この子も来るよ。約束。
この子って誰？私？トゲなし。会えて嬉しいよ。
I mean, it could be that, like, the reason why ethereals are so, violent is because of just, like, because when they're being converted, whatever's being converted feels fear, anger, like, the fear of death, and that fear is amplified by the ether that is corrupting them, and that's why they're so violent, right? It's because they died in such a violent way, they were corrupted in such a violent way, that their fearful, broken mind makes the ethereal they become also fearful and broken. And so if you're able to get corrupted in a way that is peaceful, then you might retain more of your intellect and reason. Because we are seeing the Exaltus can change, right? Like, Isolde was the miasmic priest, got fused with a shitload of miasma, we beat the shit out of her, and then she just popped out of the thing, all well and good. So, I don't know if maybe she wasn't fully corrupted and she was just wearing a suit of miasma, and so she wasn't actually affecting her core, and that's why she wasn't affected. Or maybe, she was being influenced by, the ether god, so it could be that acted as a protection as well. But we have seen instances where, the Exaltus priest or something have this, miasma form, which we have to beat. So, maybe they have more reason than others at that time. Or are they? I don't know. It's hard to say, right? We don't really know much about it. This is kind of in the realm of what is ether, which they haven't truly explained yet. I imagine we're going to get better explanations as we get closer to their teacher. Because as we get closer to the teacher, we're probably going to learn more about what happened to make the Hollow Zero explode. It could be that the civilization has had hollows exist. Has had hollows exist before 11 years ago, and they were researching them. And it could be that within Hollow Zero, they were able to sense the presence of another being across the realm. It could be that, my theory has always been that hollows are basically another realm breaking into our realm, and it's the other realm that's kind of trying to merge with this one is full of ether, and so when it breaks through the dimensional barrier, ether pours out of their realm, which then wrapped up in a bubble that is basically this world's method of protecting itself. So it's creating that bubble that's resisting the ether that's outpouring from the other dimension. So my thought is that maybe in Hollow Zero, through the fissure to the other dimension, they were able to sense a will, a presence, And so that's where the Exaltus first came in, is they heard this creature, and maybe while they were trying to research and communicate with it, and maybe that's what Carol was trying to do. Their teacher was trying to have a communication with it. It could be that a lesser, more weak-willed lab assistant or, other researcher was whispered to by that voice that no one else was aware of, and basically did what that will said, which made things worse. Basically try to maybe widen the hole, maybe accelerate the merging of realms. And so I imagine that when we get closer to figuring out the truth of what happened 11 years ago, we're going to learn more about the truth of what the Ether God is, what the nature of Ether is, stuff like that. I think that's eventually what's going to happen. But this is obviously kind of like an end game type thing, where it's like, we're going to find the teacher, we're going to get a big explanation, maybe a patch or two after that will be the actual end of the game. Because it could be like, oh, we meet our teacher, she tells us a little bit, and then maybe she's going to be the final boss. Maybe the Ether God is going to possess her as he breaks into this realm, and we have to beat our teacher that has been corrupted and controlled by the Ether God as a method of expelling it. Hard to say. But I still imagine it's going to be like ways down the way, right? We're dealing with this Wi-Fi stuff. We're dealing with the Exaltist. I mean, the Exaltists are the big bad of the Exaltist and Ethereals, right? They're kind of like, if it's in Genshin terms, it's kind of like the Abyss and like the Abyss Order, or like the Abyss and Hilichurls, right? Like the Conrian corrupted, the old Conrian people are kind of like the Ethereals, and the Abyss Order is kind of like the Exaltus. It's similar to that. Like, we're going to constantly fight against and bump against Conrians, but there's also the Abyss Order, and just the Abyss in general. The Abyss does seem to be kind of like an amorphous, violent will that's trying to just break into here. Because, like, we fought something in Natlan. We fought against something that, seemed to have intelligence and seemed to be trying to break into Natlan, so we were able to resist that. But, like, what was that? Is it just, power that made will manifest? Or was that an actual entity? Like an actual thing with a conscience that was trying to break in? Or is it just, too much of his power collected, and it just has a generally malicious will that's just trying to corrupt everything? So it didn't really need intelligence. It was just a base instinct of expansion and corruption.
別に山盛り人にとっての強さイコールエーテリアスを倒した数。
でもリュシアは
そう言われると、実は私この杖の本当の使い道。でも私はエーテリアスをやっつけることより知りたいって。
そういえばリュシアがエーテリアス好きなのは知ってたけど、
エーテリアスってフォローがゼロから作り出した、フォローが鏡となって私たちを映し出した存在と、私はずっと考えてる。フォローに飲まれてエーテリアスになった人の理性、それに意識は。
Yeah, so that's the thing, is that they lose their sanity and identity. It could be that the process of losing their sanity, like it could be like the corruption is incredibly painful, and that's, pain and fear of death is what makes us lose our sanity. And then we're an ethereal. So we basically lose our mind and then become an ethereal. So the question, of course, is like, can we regain your mind, right? Possibly, right? But it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, after like a serial killer kills like hundreds of people, do you really want to put them in prison and try to rehabilitate them? It's like... Actually, I'm reading a story which kind of has something to do with this, kind of. But basically, it starts with a zombie outbreak, right? Zombie outbreak happens. Zombies bite people. A lot of people get turned into zombies. A lot of people get killed, right? But shortly after, they find a cure. And not just a preventative cure, an active cure. So if you haven't been corrupted too far, if you're not missing too many bits and stuff, they could administer this cure, and now you're a human again, right? You were a zombie, but now you're a human. You've regained your mind, all that shit, right? So that's the interesting thing, is like, it's a rare situation where they've ever kind of like discussed this. Usually zombie movies are like, nope, like you turn into a zombie, you're gone forever. You're completely fucked. And in this world, obviously, there is a lot of discrimination against these former zombies because obviously as zombies, they did bite and kill and spread their disease to other people. Even though they weren't doing it consciously, they were part of, and again, not every zombie is able to be cured because they are too damaged. Their body is too damaged for them to survive after being reverted back to a human. So it's like, yeah, they're pretty much fucked. So even the zombies that are cured, maybe they didn't kill anybody. It's unlikely, obviously. Like maybe they were just bitten, just turned, and were cured before they could do anything. But they have the stigma of, oh yeah, you were a zombie. And then of course, all the resentment towards zombies in general are being placed on the heads of these people who are cured, right? The people who are cured are victims, but everyone still hates them because what they represent was the zombies, and the zombies kill a lot of people. And so everyone's taking their personal vendetta of, oh man, the zombie killed my brother. This person was a zombie. Okay, well, it's like they killed my brother. It's like, no. Like, they personally didn't kill your brother. Properly. So it's just misplaced resentment, because you can't blame the zombies anymore because they're gone or dead. So you just want to use these relatively innocent people as scapegoats for your resentment. And they're not totally innocent. Like, some of them might have actually killed people, but again, it's like, not like they did it intentionally. So it's a kind of an interesting thing of you obviously can understand, yeah, like they were zombies, and some of them might have even killed people. And so it's understandable why you'd still be like, fuck these people. But simultaneously, it's like, it's not really their fault, because it's not like they wanted to become a zombie. It's not like they wanted to kill people when they were a zombie. They had no control over their body. But, in the absence of a cure, would you save them? No. Like, no one's gonna risk their lives to protect zombies. Like, she wants to get to know ethereals, but you need to find a way to and we don't even know if it's possible, right? Like, if my theory that the reason why they're just so full of anger and violent ether and stuff like that is because of the method they died and got corrupted, and that those negative emotions were amplified by the ether as they were being corrupted. Like, can you resolve that? Like, we don't know. Like, can you calm them? And is there even a safe method of calming them? Like, how would you calm them, right? They're purely violent. Like, obviously, if you're able to restrict them, tie them down to a chair or something, like, what would you do to calm them down, right? Play happy movies? Show them puppies? And of course, and if my theory is correct, and that's why they're so violent, not every person would be different, right? Like, maybe this person's a cat person and not a dog person, so showing them puppies won't really affect them as much. So you need to show them kittens to calm them down, right? Like, if every one of them were people at some point, the method of dealing with their negative emotions is kind of like a huge gargantuan task, because it's how different people are and how they communicate. That's an interesting thing. I don't think anyone can wipe out every last hollow. Well, to be fair, we did actually shrink Hollow Zero. So the question is could we shrink any of the other ones? Could we get rid of the other ones? Hollow Zero is ground zero, so maybe not. But yeah, I mean, we did something, and it did shrink Hollow Zero. So in theory, couldn't we just do the same thing to maybe some of the outer hollows, some of the hollows in the middle of nowhere, some of the smaller ones, to maybe try to find a method of getting rid of them? Because if we're able to solve hollows, then, problem solved. See, and this is the problem with Lucia. What she's asking, I'm pretty sure that's Exaltus line thinking. I'm pretty sure that's what happened with the Exaltus. The Exaltus want to uncover the secret of the Ethereals, and if the Exaltus found someone within the hollow that did answer them, i.e. the Ether God, that gave Isolde and then Sarah that mark, and is able to communicate through the miasma, that's who answered, So we did try to communicate with the people with the hollow, and the hollow answered and caused the catastrophe that happened 11 years ago, right? So It's optimistic, right? It's very optimistic. But it's also pretty much exactly what the Exaltists are doing and trying to do. You know?
それか怒った
She's doing it from a place of
フォローを恐れなくてもいい
compassion.
世界に
She wants to figure out the secrets of the Hollow so she can undo it. But she's also being incredibly optimistic because it could be that it's impossible to undo, right? Regardless of whether you can bring back their psyche, I don't think you can bring back their body. Because their body has been, like, converted into ether, right? Their body is completely full of ether. They are just an ether being at this point. How would you extract the ether from their body and bring back their old body? Like, it's the ship of Theseus to a degree. Like, their body might have been completely replaced by ether. There might not even be a shred of their DNA left in their body. You know, it could have been burnt away by the ether, and now they are a body of pure ether, and that's it. And the only thing that remains is their psyche that controls them. So you might be able to regain their sanity, perhaps, through some unknown method at this point. But I very much doubt he'd ever be able to regain their body. Because when we kill an ether, they disappear, right? When we kill an ether, they just disappear into blobs of ether. Like, you can see little ether specks in it as they disappear. Now, it could be that that's intentional, or it could just be their method of just getting rid of the body so they don't clutter your screen. But the fact of the matter is that if it is, this is exactly what happens when you beat an ether, then their bodies are gone. You know, when you slash an ether's arm off, you don't see a cross-section of a human arm in that arm. You just see, you know, a black arm fall off and disintegrate into particles. So, like, their body is gone. You can never bring them back.
確かなことは何も言えないけど
At most, you might be able to bring their psyche back, but even then, that's like,
長さんがリュシアに杖を
we have no real proof that that's impossible.
背中を押してくれそうだったらまあほら
I get it. Like, hope springs eternal, you know. Obviously, Chestnut makes her think
だから難しい顔を
that maybe Chestnut,
やめたらや
you know, was a good dog and didn't die and stuff. Like, and so Chestnut's behavior makes her think, oh, maybe, you know, maybe the thing that originally comprised this ethereal, like, maybe the thing that corrupted into Chestnut, you know, regained its mind and stuff like that. My bet is that Chestnut is actually a fraction of herself.
今夜はいろんなことがあったね
That's my guess.
さすがでもね
Okay, let's spend my my shit first. Need to spend my stamina. But basically, yeah, so it's kind of like, I understand what she's trying to do. Like, yeah, sure, hope springs eternal. Like, maybe you can save them and undo what happened to a degree, right? It'd be like the zombie thing that I mentioned before, where it's like, some are too far gone, and obviously the people who are dead, and the ethereals that were killed, can no longer come back. But if you were able to restore a portion of the ethereals back to their original bodies and minds, you know, you could consider that a win, perhaps.
逃がさないのだかよっとはーいや
So, but again, like, pretty much every single layman doesn't really know shit, right? Like, no one really knows what caused the hollows. And Lucia is just kind of like, just kind of in a unique position that she can, like, pretty much her tribe is in a unique position to observe ethereals without being in a super amount of danger, which, you know, might be why she's like one of the few that can actually have a position like this, because she can actually, like, explore a hollow without dying. You know, so, because she can go into the hollow without the ethereals attacking her, whereas everyone else is more worried about keeping themselves alive than actually, you know, exploring and observing ethereals. As you can see, ethereals in a more natural habitat if they don't overly react to her. So she might be able to see behavior that most other people don't. So like, most other people go into a hollow, and the second they see an ethereal, the ethereal senses them and immediately attacks. So obviously you're not going to have that much of a... So yeah. So we're going to try to have a unique ability to be able to kind of like observe them in a way that no one else can. But even still, I think she is a little too naive in that regard. Because, it's based on nothing, right? It's based on no real, actual, obviously it's not built on, any proof or anything like that, or scientific knowledge or basis or anything like that. There's no proof that, what she said is correct, what she said is even possible. But, I'm not going to say, doing that is dumb, because, there's no proof, because no one's just, tried to do something like this, right? At this point, we have a lot of vested interest in keeping the hollows alive and active, because they can produce ether. And ether is used in a variety of their own technology and shit. So there's a lot of vested interest in keeping the world exactly as it is, because if the world is exactly as it is, the people in power remain in power, right? So therein lies one kind of problem. And then just the lower class of people are just, trying to survive, They're just trying to live day by day and not die. They can't think about, they don't have the leeway to think about, maybe we could do this and that. It's no, it's a rough world. So it's not, I think what she's saying is not necessarily wrong, but it is a little naive, and it's a little not based in any sort of scientific fact or reasoning. And in fact, I think her reasoning is her desires are a little too dangerous, because I'm pretty sure what she expressed, the desire to know more about the ethereals and listen to the answers that the hollows could provide, is basically what the Exaltus did. They are currently researching ethereals, to turning people into ethereals, and via sacrifices and stuff like that. And they are actively listening to the whispers of the god from beyond the hollow. So it's so the hollow is speaking to them, and what they've done is try to corrupt people and turn them into ethereal. So I wouldn't say the hollow has a lot of amazing wisdom to share. So therein kind of lies the rub, is that sure, you could listen, but I could get some of these and start bumping up my constellations on my bamboo. And I honestly really could, because they do give us a ton of these, so I could actually get a constellation on a bamboo. I don't think she'd be the best one to do it. Realistically, I should probably do it with one. I don't know, unless this gives even more energy. But yeah, either way. So yeah, I do like it. I do like Lucia, and I don't think what she's thinking is necessarily incorrect. It's a good goal, but again, the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right? She could be thinking that she could reason with an ethereal and put herself in a disadvantaged position and then get killed because of it, right? Obviously the thing you could think of is that when we finally confront Night Terror, which I assume is going to be at the end of this chapter, in every quest, we're going to confront Night Terror. It's going to control Chestnut, and Chestnut's going to attack. That's my guess. Or not really a guess. Honestly, I think Chestnut is a representation from Lucia itself that's trying to resist. Maybe what Night Terror did is implant a little ethereal inside of all of us, and that's what it's using to control us or to control their tribe, to bring them into the hollow and having them be corrupted. And it could be that Lucia's one grew because of her own personal ability and escaped. It left her mind. maybe he implanted ethereals in our minds, and Lucia, because of her ability, was able to extract it. Because like when she mentioned, she did dream of Night Terror, and that Chestnut was there and exhausted. So it makes me think that that Chestnut was in her psyche, was like the ethereal born from her own psyche that was implanted maybe by Night Terror, that was resisting it, and then got out of her psyche. So who knows? Obviously, well, we'll learn. Obviously, that so the idea that Night Terror could control Chestnut and attack Lucia, yeah, that could happen. I think what's far more likely is that Chestnut is going to basically die to protect Lucia, and we're going to beat Night Terror. So it's going to be this big fight. Maybe Chestnut does get controlled, but I think at the end, Chestnut will maybe get in the way and take a fatal blow from Night Terror, and then we're going to be able to kill him and save their tribe once and for all. But that's kind of what I think. I think the general flow is going to go that way. I don't think it's going to be a Chestnut betrays us and then we have to kill it type thing. I think it's going to be Chestnut could betray us, right? Chestnut could be controlled by the Night Terror when it gets too close to it, but I think it's going to break free and die saving us in some way, and we're going to win. Obviously we're going to win. We have to win. We're the heroes. But regardless, I'm going to go ahead and put a pin in this now. I'm done for now. I will be logging into Borderlands 4 in a few minutes once I shower and maybe order some food because it's still the Halloween event. So I'm going to do more exploration while it's active so that I can have a chance to get more murmurs and scullies. But also, I don't think I'll complete the Terminus range today. I think I might be able to complete Terminus range this weekend, though, because I've done a lot, and I think I know where the last vault key fragment is, so I should be able to do the vault today, and I might farm it a little bit, because I'm pretty sure the Terminus range vault monster, the vault boss, is the Moxie's big Encore boss, and it also drops the Chaosin, and the Chaosin would be absolutely fucking perfect for my build. I'm using the Rowan's Range, Rowan's Range, I think. That's what the Rowan's call, but the Rowan's Range, which is really good, because it has the sticky grenades that matches well with my Torg sticky thing, but the Chaosin is even better, because the problem with that one, it has the Jacob's part, which is pretty cool, because it does get ricochets, and so it does mean extra stickies, but the fire rate is really shit. And so with the Chaosin, it unloads. If it's like the Borderlands 3 ones, it unloads insanely fast. And if it's really like the Borderlands 3 one, it also does damage when the bullet hits and then implants a sticky. I'm pretty sure by default. So you can actually kill it with the actual bullets, and then when you reload, the stickies reload. Whereas other Torg sticky things only do damage when you reload. Only when the stickies explode does it do damage. So when you're shooting them with a Torg sticky thing, you're doing no damage to them while the bullets are hitting them. But then when you reload and the stickies explode, then that's when you do all your damage. The problem is you don't know when to stop shooting to reload to kill them, because you only need half your mag's worth of stickies to kill them. But if you do too much, they die. You waste extra bullets you didn't need, but you don't know. So that's why the Chaos One was pretty cool, because they actually can die from the actual bullet damage. I don't know if it's the exact same way. I did actually get a below level 50 Chaos One just from a random world drop. I would like to farm it and get some more elements and stuff, because it's perfect for my build, because I have the Torg sticky class mod that does 50% of your damage up front. So 50% of your sticky damage, so up front. So basically, the issue of, oh no, when you're shooting them and loading them with stickies, they're taking no damage, so you can't know if they're going to die or not. Basically, this will allow do 50% of your damage. So basically, if you're shooting them, because with this Torg enhancement, if you see them get below half health, you know that's the perfect time to reload, because realistically, you could do it at 66%. If they have 66, if they have 2/3 of their health, and they've gotten and they lost it, you could probably reload at that point, because you're doing 50% of the sticky damage, so it should be twice as much damage you just did from your sticky grenades. So in theory, if you can get 1/3 of their health down, then the sticky grenade should get the remaining 2/3. Generally, I kind of wait till they're half health though, just in case, because I don't know what they took damage from. They might have taken damage from my minions or other shit. So if I get them half health, I can know, oh cool, it's the perfect time to reload. So the Chaosin might even be better than that, because if the Chaosin gives 100% bullet damage on hit, and then doubling that damage when the stickies reload, and I get an additional bonus 50%, like that would be really cool. And it has a really high fire rate, and I should be able to get in all elements. So it's a really cool thing. Works really well with my enhancements. So I'm really looking forward to that. Now that's on thing, but I don't have that vault unlocked, so I need to get it unlocked first so I can farm it. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and call it, but I'll be back on shortly to play some Borderlands 4. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time.